In the last class, we discussed about addition and subtraction, right? And then we saw some examples where we can use addition and subtraction. And finally, we solved some previous year questions on that topic. And we also looked into some tricks on how we are going to identify the question or identify the pattern or try to solve that question pretty quickly, right? So we are going to apply the same approach and then study multiplication in this session. So we are going to cover multiplication. We are going to see an example wherein we apply multiplication, or how do we need multiplication in our daily lives, how do we use it, and again we are going to solve previous year questions on that topic. Okay, so I mean, before actually diving into the questions, let us see where we actually use multiplication, or why do we need multiplication. Say I start reading a book every day, right? I've started reading a book every day, and I have a goal to read 3 pages of that book on a daily basis. So the first day I'll be reading 3 pages of that book, right? The second day I'll be reading 3 plus 3 pages, or 6 pages. The third day I'll be reading 3 plus 3 plus 3 pages, right? Or 9 pages. So this is a case of repeated addition. What does repeated addition mean? When we are repeatedly adding the same number over and over again. So you can see we are adding 3 2 times, we are adding 3 3 times. So such cases are when we introduce multiplication. So when I have just 3 1 times, I'll say 3 multiplied by 1, because I just have one occurrence of 3. So this is equal to 3. When I have 3 plus 3, it means 3 multiplied by itself 2 times, or we are adding 3 2 times. So this becomes 6. When I have to add 3 3 times, which means 3 added to itself 3 times, which is equal to 9. Now this has a use when we are adding a number, say 5,000 times or 6,000 times, right? So that is where multiplication actually shows its power, when we are actually repeatedly adding something very large number of times. So for example, 3 times, so in say in a year, how many books I'm going, or how many pages of the book I'm going to read. So this will become 3 times 365, right? So this is where we use multiplication, and this is a simple example of where we use multiplication. Another example can be, say the cost of one chocolate is 5 rupees, and if we have purchased 70 such chocolates, so one chocolate cost 5 rupees, we have purchased 70 chocolates, so what is the amount that I have to pay to the shopkeeper? So that is also somewhere we can apply multiplication, right? So like addition and subtraction, these were given some, I mean, this is what we multiply and this is the result that we get. So if we add two numbers, we call the numbers that we are adding as addends, right? If you are subtracting, the larger number was known as minuend and the smaller one was known as subtrahend. Similarly, in multiplication, we call the numbers that we are multiplying as factors. So these two are factors. Okay, so this is very important because we'll be studying this in the subsequent session as well, wherein we will be studying about factors and multiples. Right, and this is known as the product. So the result that we get by multiplying the factors is known as product. Okay, we can also call this as a multiple, but more standard notation is a product. Right, so the numbers that we multiply is known as factor. The output that we get once we multiply those numbers is a product. Next, we'll look into some examples, as in how do we multiply numbers. So the first case is when we are multiplying any number with a single digit number. Right, so in such cases, again we need to ensure that the numbers are aligned. So this is the ones place, this is the tens place, and this is the hundreds place, and this is only one digit, so it is the ones place. So the ones place and the ones place must be aligned. Then we apply a multiplication sign to show that we are doing a multiplication. Then what we need to do, we need to first multiply this digit with the ones digit of the larger number, then multiply this digit with the tens digit of the other number, and then multiply with the hundreds digit. And then we also need to consider regrouping, so that we'll see. So for example, 4 times 5, it is 20. So out of that 20, I'll just write the unit digit, and then 2 is moved on here as a carry. Right, similarly, I'll write 4 sevens are 28, then add this 2, so it will become 30. So I'll write 0 of that 30 here, and then 3 will be carried over. Okay. And then finally I'll write 4 3s are 12. 12 plus 3 gives us 15. So because there is no subsequent number, so I'll just write 15. Okay. Next we'll see how do we do this operation for 2-digit numbers. Right. So here again 3-digit number at the top, 2-digit number below. Again, the first thing that we do is make sure that the digits are aligned. So ones with ones and then tens with tens. So for the ones digit, we have to redo the operation that we have done here. We multiply this with all the digits. So this is 2. So we'll multiply 2 with 2. So we'll get 4. Then we'll multiply 2 with 4. So we'll get 8. And then multiply 2 with 5. So we'll write 10 as it is because there is no number further to carry over. So we'll write 10. Right now when we move to the tens digit, this is no longer the ones digit, this is the tens digit. So say if I'm multiplying 10 with 2, so this is 20, right? So I'll have to reserve this is not 2, this is 20. So when I'm multiplying this 1 with 2, this does not mean I'm multiplying 1 with 2, this means I'm multiplying 10 with 2, right? So you will have to reserve a digit for the units place. So you can just denote it as 0. For example, if you are multiplying 1 with 542, you'll get 542. But when you are multiplying 10 with 542, so you'll get 5420. So you have to reserve this 0 at the end because this is the tens digit that you are multiplying with. Right, so we can either use 0 or we can use this cross symbol. So this cross symbol is actually used because it distinguishes this with the number so that if I have say 10 here, we don't get confused with this cross. Right, otherwise if I have 0, then there may be a confusion that I have already written 0, why do I need to write that 0 again? So although we can use it interchangeably, I would recommend to use cross instead of 0. Okay. So then what we do is we multiply 1 with 2. Again the same process, just reserving the units digit. And then 1 4s are 4 and 1 5s are 5. Now what we do is we just add these two numbers that we are getting post multiplication. So 4 plus 0 will give us 4. 8 plus 2 gives us 10. So 1 is carried over. 4 plus 1 gives us 5. And 5 plus 1 gives us 6. Okay. Now it is very important if you remember the tables from 2 to 20. Why is this important? Because here you can see we have done 2 steps. And then the third step wherein we add those 2 digits. If I remember the tables for these, numbers, what we can do, we can just use a single step and then get the answer. So what I am trying to do is, instead of doing that multiplication twice, first with 2, then with 1, I consider this as a single unit. Okay. Now what I'll do, considering this as a single unit, I'll start the multiplication process. So instead of multiplying 2 with 2, I'll directly multiply 12 with 2. So when I multiply 12 with 2, I'll get 4, right? When I multiply, so I'll get 24. So 2 will be carried over, right? When I multiply 12 with 4, I'll get 48 and then plus 2 gives us 50. So I'll just write 0 here, 5 will be carried over. And then again I'll multiply 12 with 5, so I'll get 60. 60 plus 5 gives us 65. So 6504. So at the very beginning, this might look lengthy or maybe difficult to implement, but if you practice this more and more, easier it will become to solve a given question or multiplication problem very quickly. Okay. Now we have seen how to multiply 2-digit number. We have seen how to multiply with a 1-digit number. Now we'll see how to multiply with a 3-digit number. Most of the procedure remains the same. Now what we need to do is again do the same thing. Make sure that the digits are aligned. Then multiply this with the digits one by one. So 2 3s are 6, 2 2s are 4, 2 3s are 6. Right. Then we'll have a cross sign or a 0 sign. Then I write 1 3s are 3, 1 2s are 2, and 1 threes are 3. Next, I have this 3. So 3 threes are 9. So before doing this, right? So when I had the tens digit, I reserved one cross for the units digit. Now this is the hundreds digit, right? So I'll have to reserve two digits because I'm multiplying 3 with 3, but actually I'm multiplying 300 with 3. So that becomes 900. So these two zeros I have to reserve reserve the digits for these two zeros, right? So I'll use 2 cross, right? So as you move to larger number of digits, you have to keep on reserving one more. So for example, if it was the third digit, I reserved 2. If this was the second digit, so I reserved 1. And this was the ones digit, so I did not reserve anything for this. Okay. So then reserving two digits for tens and ones, now multiplying with 3. So 3 threes are 9. 3 twos are 6 and 3 threes are 9 again. So 6 comes down, 4 plus 6, 4 plus 3 is 7, 9 plus 2 is 11, 11 plus 6 is 17. So 7 goes here, 1 is carried over, we have to do regrouping. So 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 1 is 10. So 0, 1 comes here and 9 plus 1 is 10. Okay. Now see, one interesting pattern that you'll notice is, just look at the units digit. It is 6 here. And if you notice, 2 multiplied by 3 is also 6. Right? Look at the unit digit here. It is 4. And you'll notice that 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. Here obviously you have one digit, so it will be 4 fives are 20, so it is 0. So see what type of questions you may get sometimes. You may be given two very large numbers, say 5, 2, 8, 7, 9, 6, 1, 9, 6, 7. Right, so this is 9 and this is 7. So you have been given two large numbers. Now you'll be asked about the unit digit of that number, just the unit digit. So what you'll do, you'll start multiplying. So that is not the ideal way to solve such questions, since you only need the unit digit, and from the pattern we see here, right? What we notice is the unit digit of the product of two numbers is the unit digit of the product of their unit digits, right? So if I just take the product of their unit digits, I'll get 9 sevens are 63. So the unit digit of their product will be the unit digit of this entire number. Is this clear? So the unit digit of this product will be 3 only, and we don't have to do the entire multiplication. Okay, so I mean, if you are given two numbers asked about the unit digit, just multiply the last two digits. So again, let us take one more example, 21763 and 21989, right? So if you are asked about the unit digit, so what we'll do, take the unit digits of these numbers and then just multiply them. So 9 threes are 27, so the unit digit is 7. Okay. Next we see what type of questions we can get. Okay, mostly the questions that we get is a type of word problem. So we have to identify what we need to do in that word problem, be it addition, multiplication, subtraction, or division, right? And then do that process. So the question says a farmer plants 42 saplings every day. How many saplings will he be able to plant in 36 days? So he plants 42 saplings every day. First day he'll be planting 42 saplings. Second day he'll be planting 42 plus 42. Third day 42 plus 42 plus 42, right? And so on. So you can see this is a case of repeated addition. So when we have repeated addition, we just multiply the numbers. So for 36 days, it will be 42 times 36, right? So first day it will be 42 times 1, second day 42 times 2, third day 42 times 3. So 36th day it will be 42 times 36. So if he plants 42 saplings every day, he'll be able to plant 42 times 36 saplings in 36 days. Now what we need to do, we need to multiply those two numbers and then see, right? So first of all, again, what we need to do, we need to apply the standard algorithm, which is the multiplication process that we just saw. So we have these two numbers, we just have to make sure that the digits are aligned. So that is the first thing that we need to check. So 42, 36, the digits are aligned ones with ones, tens with tens. Now we have to follow a sequence of steps as we have discussed already. So multiply each digit of the top number by the ones digit of the bottom. So this is the ones digit of the bottom number. We have to multiply the all the digits in the top. So 6 twos are 12, we'll get 1, and then 6 fours are 24, plus 1 is 25. So we'll get 252. Right? Then step 2, reserve the ones place by putting a 0 or a cross symbol. Right? So, and then the third step is multiply each digit of the top number again by the tens digit. Now we have to use the tens digit. So 3 twos are 6 and 3 fours are 12. The fourth step is add up the results to get the final product. So we'll just add up the digits. So 2 plus 0 gives us 2, 5 plus 6 is 11, so 1 is carried over. 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5, and then 1 comes down as 1. So the farmer will be able to plant 1512 saplings at the end of 36 days. Okay. See, again, if you were asked about the units digit, so this would have been 6 times 2, which is 12. So unit digit will be 2. Again, we'll just be able to get the unit digit without actually multiplying the numbers. Okay. Now, I mean, there are three ways in which we can multiply, two of which we have discussed already, and additionally, third we'll see now. So the first step will use the standard algorithm. So we are given two numbers 73 times 90. So 9 threes are 27, right? Carries 2. 9 sevens are 63 plus 2 is 65. So we'll get 657. Reserve one digit for the units place. Then 1 threes are 3 and then 1 sevens are 7. Now we'll add these two numbers. So 7 comes down as 7, 5 plus 3 becomes 8, and 6 plus 7 becomes 13. So 1387 or 1387 is the answer. What is another way in which we can solve this? What we'll do? 73 and 19. Now we'll consider this 19 as a single unit. So the prerequisite is that we should know the table for 19. Right? Now we'll consider this as a single unit. So multiply 19 with 3 and then multiply 19 with 7. Okay, so 19 threes are 57. So we'll write 7 here and then 5 will be carried over. And then 19 sevens are 133. So we'll just add 5 to that 133, we'll get 138. So see, we are able to get this answer in just one step. Right, third step or third process is if you have studied Vedic maths. Right, so when you multiply two digits number, so this is only specific to two digit numbers. Okay, so what you do is, so you write first of all, multiply this with this. So 9 with 3. So 9 threes are 27. Remember the number that will be carried forward. Now next what you do, you cross multiply. So 9 sevens are 63. Right, so you'll write 63. And then 1 threes are 3. And then the 2 that was carried over. Now add these 3. So 3 plus 3 6 plus 2 8. So this becomes 68. Right, so we multiplied this with this and then this with this and then add it. So this will become 68. So we'll just write add 8 and then 6 will be carried over. Next what we do, so the first thing we did is 9 times 3. So this multiplied by this. Then we did 9 times 7 plus 1 times 3 plus whatever was carried over. Then we do 1 times 7. So 1 times 7 is 7. Right? 7 plus 6 is 13. So 1387. So see, if you know the tables till 20, this is very easy. Right? If you have something that is larger than 20, but it is of two digits. So this is slightly easier, but you need some practice to master this. Okay? But for any other case, mean, this is the most standard approach that we have to use. Or in your school exam, you have to use this approach only. We cannot use shortcuts in school exams. So school exam, you have to use this approach. While doing MCQs, say giving Olympiad exams or any other exam, competitive exam, wherein we have MCQ questions and we are not asked about the approach, we need to, I mean, we can switch any approach, whatever seems easier and quicker. Okay. So 1387 was the answer as we have already discussed.